Okay, so yesterday we saw a shadow puppet performance by some of our 5th graders. They came in and showed us one example of shadow puppets from China. So now we're going to look at the history of shadow puppets from other places in the world. And when I talk about the world, what I'm talking about is Indonesia. Indonesia is this place right here. Here you have the continent of Asia, and here you have the continent of Australia. And between those two continents, there are a bunch of these small islands. So we're talking about Java, we're talking about Bali, we're talking about these Malaysian areas here. Okay? So we're going to start with Indonesia. So these are 2 shadow puppets from Indonesia. And you can tell that this would be the bad guy because he's got a nice red face. And they use the colors in order to show different highlights of what they wanted. So when you're thinking about color and shadow puppets, you don't really put those 2 things together. But shadow puppets are actually quite colorful. Now when you obviously shine a light behind them, you see a shadow, unless you have created holes in your shadow puppets in order to let the light come through to show the colors. So you can see here that these are very plain shadow puppets. They probably have color on them if we were to look at them outside of the shadow, but if we're looking at them through a shadow, we only see the black and white. Here's some more examples. So you'll see the nice beautiful colors in here. But if we go back and look at the shadows, it's still only in black and white. Again, unless you cut away the black and you replace it with the color. Here's another example from Java and Bali. And you'll notice that they're very ornate. There's lots of things happening all over these different shadow puppets. They're very decorative, they're very intricate. This one is from Thailand. Here's another example of the Chinese, and here you can actually see the color, where they've taken that color and they've shined the light through it so that you can still see it. And this kind of gives you an idea of the scale of a typical shadow puppet. They're quite large. You'll see these 2 men sitting here. They've got the very long sticks, and they've got huge shadow puppets over their head. So when we're looking at something like this, you have to think each one of these shadow puppets is operated by one person. Even the backgrounds that we're looking at are going to have people holding them up. Some backgrounds like this one are going to be stable, so they're going to be attached to whatever you're doing, and then your shadow puppets are going to be the things that move around. So these are all things to think about when you are thinking about what are you going to do with your shadow puppets that you create. How are you going to make them unique? How are you going to decorate them? And how are you going to play with light and color?